So the last question was more like her mom's question. It was regarding Lauren took 2021, only the first one. She wants to know if is there any effects it'll have on her. She said she hasn't noticed any issues now, except the tiredness, but we already spoke about that.
It is to say that the first one was not as aggressive as the others. And it is more that you are in contact with direct sunlight, the more it synthesizes this out of the body.
Yes.
So it is the more that the sunlight is introduced, even in early mornings when the sun has come up, to visualize that coming in, as it stimulates the ocular nerve. And what it does is it is working on different things that send off frequencies for healing, which then also help to stimulate the vessel. Even if one has been on the third or fourth injection, through sunlight and the correct way of working with one's frequency, you can eventually move it out, but it takes longer. For her, she does not have such a large amount, which is very good. So if she keeps introducing time in her routine for sunlight absorption, this is going to help a lot to move the rest out.
Is it kind of like sun gazing, or does she just need to spend time in sun?
Spend time in the sun, but if she could sun gaze the sunrise and sunset, because those are the best time for that light frequency to get stimulated. And even when the shifts are taking place from dusk to dawn or the other way around, in those shift stages, there is frequencies of light and color light that does not get stimulated throughout the entire day, which can also be beneficial to one's vessel to heal the light.
But why does that help with that substance in the body?
Because what it is, that substance is more of something that works with the electromagnetic field of the vessel. So it is more, to give the most simplest way of understanding is, think of it as little magnets inside of the vessel. But these magnets are stealing frequency. So all of the light and frequency magnetized to them. So let us say that if there's a cell that needs healing, this is going to steal that frequency.
Okay.
And the more that you allow the light into the body, the more that light goes in towards the cell and starts pushing that out.
Okay. So it can actually be almost expelled from the body.
Yes, it can. It is just that it takes time. That's the only thing. Because if one's body needs to filter out, we will give it to you in a better way. Think of her filtering system as just a sieve. Now, if one takes a fluid, it will go through the sieve. But if one takes little stones and little rocks inside of a glass of water and then one fizzes it out, the rocks are going to get stuck there. It is not going to fall through with the water. And this is what's happening with all of these electromagnetic particles. They are getting stuck in the little sieves of the body. And all that the body does is the body picks them up, circulates them in, and breaks them down into smaller pieces to filter out. So the process takes longer than anything organic in the body, but it is not impossible. But in order to break this down, the body needs to have oxygen, it needs to have light, and it needs to have frequency of salts, which is the magnesium, because the magnesium is the only thing that can pull fluid outside of the cell. So if this gets stuck in the cell, it can get pulled out and new water can get pulled in. The light frequency can stimulate to break it into smaller pieces, and it can flush out the body. So by doing this on a regular basis, it will work completely out of her system and she wouldn't have any problems.
Okay. But how was it actually affecting her or not?
It was affecting the kidneys and different areas, but it is not at a grand scale that it is causing mass damage. So it is just to keep on with a good routine and it will be fine.
Yes, well, I actually have a video called Trump and the Jab, an antidote, and in that video they talk about sun gazing as well. So I think she can maybe just check that video out as well, because it's actually step-by-step kind of natural antidotes for this substance. So
yes, which would be very good, because it is just the way that the light gets absorbed into the vessel. And it is the same thing with anything. The more light, the more healing. And that is what it is about.
And what is that substance that it is like attracting or sucking up the light?
It is multiple substances. It is actually mineral bases. So what they have done is they took the mineral base of a cell, the way that a cell works, working with calcium and magnesium and how it absorbs and exchanges in. They have synthesized these two frequency bases in more of a way where these natural minerals are more, we do not want to use the term metallic, but more aluminium based in this type of substance form. So it mimics these actions in the cell. So the cell will open only for calcium and magnesium exchange. So they bypass through because they are disguised as that. It is almost the same as to say that with the birth control for the woman, it mimics the estrogen and makes the body think that it is pregnant and therefore sends all of the hormones out of balance, but not falling pregnant. So it is this type of concept happening within the cell's cleaning system. And then they get sucked in, and because it is a foreign particle, the cell locks itself down and doesn't want to clean and exchange it out. That is why the more light stimulates, the more exchanges of the frequencies, the more it can work out of the body.
Does that facilitate cell bursts?
Yes.
Okay, that came through my other video as well.
Yes, and that also starts to bring in, that is why many get these clotting, because it is all of these cells that start sticking to each other like little magnets. So all of these cells with this substance in start sticking to each other and creating these type of blood clots. It is physically a magnetic effect. It's been designed like that because of the electromagnetic field from the heart that pulls all the cells together. So it's the only way it can get almost masked into the body. And everywhere where the body has already been damaged, that amplifies. That is why many symptoms look different. But if the vessel is already at good condition and didn't have a lot of problems to work with at first, it is just a minor thing. There are many now who have successfully removed even the third one from their body, but they have to take extreme measures, extreme diet, extreme fasting, extreme amounts of lights in and out their body. Many have done this, many have succeeded, but it is such a long journey to do because it is something that is free willingly taken into the body. It is not for us to just snap away.
But why would that sound so counterproductive? Why would one person do that to another person to kind of promise them that this is going to help you and then it actually just self-destructs?
Yes, but isn't this already the frequency of the planet? If you would have to analyze it in, the frequency about the planet is more about control. Control, control, control. And it is not just to control, as many would think, the jump, because yes, this also brings the body a little lower in vibration, which then prevents that. But eventually, your soul will work it out and you will transcend. It is more about, as we could say, a bunch of children on the playground right now who know that when the bell rings, they are never going to play with their toys again. So now they are playing with all the toys. No one else is allowed to play with them but them. In your construct, that is why we say do not focus on the vibration of money, because they are on the vibration of money. They do not care about the repercussions because they think, oh, well, it is just an experience, and if they die, they come back, no harm, no foul. But they only do it because now you're going to get more sick, you're going to take more medications, you're going to take more pills, you're going to be more in the industry, which means that now when natural healing starts to take off, that the medical industry doesn't lose what it is doing. And it is more the selfish way of they do not want to allow into natural healing where the body takes over, but they want to stay the masters of healing.
Okay, so it's kind of keeping the pharmaceutical, the current medical profession going, but also controlling the jump or the frequency or rays in which they would lose all control and power.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, anything else about that?
But it is to say that it is not at a stage of that they must be viewed as bad. There is no good or there is no bad polarity. What it is about is just experience. And that is why many whose vessels have gotten it like her, we did not care much for it. So we did not send her the instruction to not do it because we knew that it was not going to affect with her body in the way that it is going to prevent her purpose. So therefore she had the free will to choose. But because it started doing something, then we evaluated, that is why more did not take place. So many vessels, there are some beings on this planet whose vessels just immediately incinerated that with their light.
Yes.
And it didn't even take shape and form. So it is just not to be angry at the medical industry, but it is more to be aware that that is not the playground you want to play on. That is not where you want to be. If you would rather want healing more than natural, this is why there's that contrast. People have to have the option to say, I don't want that, I want this. So that is why they created this, so that now many can see the contrast, because now the split is deeper. Then it's not so superficial as many years before.
Yeah, but I think also it's about choice. Then it teaches us more about choice, because at the end of the day, the power was in your hand to choose or not to choose. And I think it's teaching us free will, that we are free willingly creating our reality. No one is doing anything to us.
Exactly. You are creating it by yourself, but it was also to teach you to be in tune with yourself in order to feel what would be best for you. Yes. And then decide from there.
Is there anything for the people who might have taken many, like 3 or 4, what they could do?
The easiest would be, as we could say now, to stimulate the cell's alkalinity, which is the natural forms of calcium. Not the calcium from the animal base, not that they are bad, but because it is to take as the calcium molecule from a cow would take 5 different exchanges to break down to a form that is allowed to be absorbed. This is why a cow has got 5 stomachs, but a human being only has 1. So by drinking that, one is actually creating waste fluid in the body. Then one has to steal calcium from one's bones to push that calcium out of the way. So therefore one is more depleting. But it does not mean one cannot have. But for these people who have overextended this into their body, it is to get more calcium based from natural substances to fill their body. Because calcium is the highest form of alkalinity inside the body. That is why anytime the vessel struggles, it will eat the bones first in order to break that down into what it needs for the rest of the body. So if one can then immediately stimulate that, then the body would use that alkalinity to just phase out with the sunlight, which allows, it is the same concept of a cell. The cell needs calcium and it needs magnesium. Nothing can get into the cell without magnesium. Nothing can get out of the cell or exchange around the cell without the calcium. But vitamin D, which will come in on the top, will allow the cell to move, which keeps it constant. So the sunlight getting into the body, the right amount of calcium, and even the magnesium is the hardest one, as the magnesium on the planet is many forms for what the body needs. This is why, like for her, we said the Celtic salt.
Yes,
or the pink one.
Himalayan.
Yes.
Can you say Himalayan?
It is difficult to round in the mouth.
Interesting.
But these salts, just 1 or 2 little pieces, the size of a little seed, is enough to stimulate magnesium for the entire body.
Okay. And then what kind of calcium should people take then that's not, milk?
Any of leafy greens hold the highest calcium.
Okay. And so a lot of that, I'm assuming.
Yes, but it is to do it. One could in the morning after drinking the glass of water with the salt. Then one could make a green juice, but not mixing different leafy greens. Thus is the misconception, because each one has got different components. Let us say one decides to just do spinach on the day. One will then juice 1 shot or 2 shots of spinach. And then when one goes and watches the sunrise, one can drink that. One is getting in the calcium. One has set the frequency mind that the calcium and also the vitamin D that I'm getting in is going in and healing and repairing. Once commandment has been placed on these factors, the body can automatically take over the function.
So it's making the body more alkaline, you're saying, which is like a better environment for natural release of substances. So it could actually help with any kind of substance release, or I suppose disease.
Yes, that is the ultimate optimal way of healing. But the way that the body gets this is, that's why we always are talking about the water. The body cannot contain any of these minerals or move them around if there is not water. But the water is not absorbing into the cells, because many people on this planet have a magnesium deficiency because of this, as we could say, table salt. This table salt, inside of the salt crystal, once it has been chemically washed, there's also aluminium on the inside. And this aluminium cannot transport into the cell blocks it off. So the body is getting everything else from the salt, but it's not absorbing into the cells. And one could be drinking 5 liters of water per day, but one's vessel is extremely dehydrated because nothing is absorbing into the cells. So it is just to stimulate light frequency, absorption into the cells, and alkalinity to help flush it out. And these 3 main principles can heal and repair all tissue. Doesn't matter what was the cause or the effect after.
Why does it need to be alkaline though? Why not acidic?
Alkaline is just another word for oxygen. It is an oxygen base because it is the oxygen that causes the stimulation in order to be able to move and cause the friction in the cells.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Anything else about that jab?
No, and it is just to also forget about it. The more that you bring the mind into the area and obsessing over it, the more you are calling forth the reality. It is to accept that, yes, this has happened, but it is to say, all right, going forward, I will not allow myself to be misled into things that are not good for me.
It's a good lesson, actually.
Yes, and use the opportunity.
Okay. Anything else for Lauren today? Because we have run out of time.
No, all has been said, and we know that she has received it well. It is just to start with the main basis that we gave, so that once she has completed that cycle of bringing that connection into herself, that awareness, coming back into the heart, coming back to giving herself that love and that stimulation by becoming her own best friend, by connecting with her vessel again, we will be able to come through her more and give her the next steps. But we will not give her anything further until she has mastered the first task.
Okay, beautiful. Anything else?
But we send her lots of love, and we tell her that we are there all the time, and that anytime she needs us, she can put her hand on her heart, and then she will feel that we are there with them.
Yes.
We leave you both in love and light. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.